Welcome to the Lechtich Parsha podcast, where we delve into the Torah's timeless wisdom and uncover uplifting and empowering lessons tailored to the challenges of our generation.
A good dinner of Shabbos, Parshas Vayeira, Tavshin Pehei. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you to this week's sponsor, the Kurtzer family of Lakewood, New Jersey, the Schos Refuah Shlema of Yehuda Leib ben Chaya Sarah. May he have a Refuah Shlema b'seich Shar Chayei Yisrael. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, the Haas & Zaltz Law Firm, Blue Sun Brokerage, Meridian Senior Health, and Mark Wogemuth and Associates. For future dedications to sponsor the weekly Lechtich publication and podcast, please reach out to 845-367-2959. Unfortunately, it's been a very tough week with tremendously painful, sad news coming in from Eretz Yisrael, daily tragedies, families mourning their loved ones, captives still held in hostage. Klal Yisrael faces so many tsaros as a whole and as individuals, and the only place to turn is to Avinu Shebashamayim. He's the only one that can provide help, solace, nechama, Yeshua, and ultimately the geula that's long awaited. And while going through these trying times, as a nation and as individuals, as elementary and basic as it may sound, the only answer is Shlachi havacha al Hashem v'hu yichal kalecha. Throw your package onto Hashem and He will sustain you. You have to work, you have to strengthen and exercise our midah of complete emunah and bitachon in Hashem, in His omnipotence, in His complete power and ability to change anything, to grant and bestow us what we need, and to deliver the Yeshuas and Nechamas that we're all waiting for. The problem, the challenge that many of us face is as follows. If I didn't hear this from a big Rav, I probably wouldn't say it on my own, but he said it, so this is what it is. He shared that there are many times where his congregants, Talmidim, other people from around the Jewish demographic, come to him and seek his hadracha, his guidance, his counsel. And a lot of times in the Nisayon, the challenge that the person is facing, it's been so many years, it's been so many tears, it's been so many times where they've tried and failed, and there was anticipation and hope, and those were shattered again and again, once, twice, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And after so many times of the issue of the Nisayon being compounded and almost seeming to be neglected, unanswered, there's this tremendous sense, this feeling of yish, of despondency, which sets in and overtakes them. And once that happens, not only don't they feel that they can't move on, they can't drive out of this deep hole, this black hole, but they can't reverse, there's no going back, and they just feel completely, utterly stuck. And this is a feeling that we can all feel on our own challenges, in the challenge that's going on globally for us Yidden, with all of the adversity, the anti-Semitism, the hate, what's going on in Eretz Yisrael. And we think that there's no end, there's no answer. We tried, we davened, we poured our hearts out, we had the asifas, we did our schusim, but it's already been a year and a half almost, and nothing seemed to have changed. There has been movement, but after this week, and week after week, there's always atrocious news, unbearable news of the falling of Achinu B'nai Yisrael. We just think that it's like a Mount Everest of tsaros, of pain, of nisyonos, which cannot be moved, a mashu. While there are no answers, and we can't say anything definitively because we're not running the world and it's all the Eibishter. However, there is a perspective. And the perspective is as follows, and the perspective lies in our Parsha, in this week's Parsha, and it lies within the episode, within the birth of Yitzchak Avinu, and it stems from none other than Sarah Imenu. In this week's Parsha, Avram and Sarah were waiting for so many years, and finally they hear the good news that they're going to be bestowed with the bracha of a child, as the pasuk tells us, Vayeira, Shuv ashuv elecha keis chayav v'hinei ben l'sar yishtecha. I'm going to return to you at this time next year, and you're going to have a child. Now listen to the psukim, listen to the elucidation, the great detail that the Torah goes into this episode. V'titzchak Sarah b'kirba. Sarah laughs inwardly. Lemur, achri b'loisi hayisli ednav adoni zaken. She said, now that I've lost the ability to have children, am I going to bear children with my husband so old? Vayeira Hashem al Avram. Hashem said to Avram, Lama zeh tzachakta Sarah lemur ha'afumnam eled v'ani zekanti. Why did your wife Sarah, why did she laugh and say that I'm old? Ha'ipole me Hashem davar. Is there anything that is too wondrous for Hashem? Indeed, I'll come back to you next year and you're going to have a child. Then what happened was, Hashem was upset and Hashem wanted an answer from Sarah. Why did you laugh? Sarah said back to Hashem, she contradicted, she retorted, I didn't laugh, ki yara, I was afraid, I was nervous. And Hashem said, Vayeira loy. He said, that's not correct. Tzachakta. For indeed you did laugh. Asks the Chafetz Chaim, the Torah doesn't expend any ink on not even an extra letter in the entire Torah. And whenever there is, the Torah has to darshan it, we have to expound, we have to understand. Everything has a din and a cheshbon in the Torah, every word is accounted for. Asks the Chafetz Chaim, the Baal Sefer Chafetz Chaim Shmiras HaLashon, who all his halachas, all of his Torah comes from the Torah itself. We know there's an Isser of Lashon Hara. We know there's an Isser of speaking derogatory about your friend. We know you can't speak negatively about another Yid. So how can it be that not only does the Torah go into great detail about something seemingly insignificant, about the back and forth, she did laugh, she didn't laugh. The point was, she was about to birth the patriarch of Klal Yisrael, Yitzchak Avinu. So what do we care about the whole debacle, what happened before, the back end, the backdrop? It seems to be irrelevant. And more so asks the Chafetz Chaim, the Torah seems to put Sarah in a very negative light. It seems to put her on a pedestal of mikatnei emunah, from those who have questionable faith. In fact, the Chafetz Chaim, how can this be? This is the Torah Akdosha that doesn't write any extra word. And here the Torah spends psukim and psukim going on about how she contradicted Hashem and she said she didn't laugh, which seemed to be a lie, and how she had questions in her emunah. How could it be that she's going to have a baby at such an old age? More than just an explanation for the extra words in the Torah, we have to understand how can it be that the Torah is putting her in this negative light? What can possibly be the interpretation? And the Chafetz Chaim answers to us, Dvarim niflaim ad ma'od, words that are wondrous, that not only give us perspective and understanding of the episode of why that Torah spent extra time and psukim to understand the episode of Sarah, but it also helps us understand and give us perspective into the lives and episodes of us as individuals and us as a klal. And he emphasizes the words, Hayipolim imcha davar. The reason why the Torah had to go into great detail, and the reason why the Torah had to give us the whole back end of the story, is because Hashem is telling Sarah and is telling us, L'dayri dayris, ma'isa avasim lebanim, the most important fundamental lesson for our emunah and bitachon. And that is as follows, that you, Sarah, and your children, and all of your descendants for generations and generations to come until today, you're going to face questions, you're going to face uncertainty, you're going to struggle, you're going to battle, you're going to have unclarity, and you're going to want, and you're going to seek, and you're going to beseech answers and hadracha and guidance and counsel. You're going to go to your rabbanim, you're going to go to your rebbeim, you're going to go to your rosh yeshivas, and you're not going to know the answer. But there's one thing that you all have to believe. Hayipolim imcha davar. Is there anything that's too wondrous for me to accomplish, for me to perform, for me to provide yeshuas and nechamas? And says the Chafetz Chaim, while the Torah of course forbids lashon hara, but there was a lesson over here, and it wasn't meant to put Sarah chas v'shalom in mikatnei emunah, to display her in a negative light, but rather it was to serve as a role model, as a reminder for all of us, for her children, for Sarah Imenu's children, all of us living today, and remind us that even she, one of the imais, struggled with what we struggle all with today, with our nisyonos, with our challenges, with our uncertainty of how we're going to make it through certain things in life, the nisyonos and tests that we face. And Sarah said, Hayipolim imcha davar, and says the Chafetz Chaim, even though it's us to say lashon hara, but that wasn't the point. The point was to tell us the exact story of her life and the exact story of our life, and how sometimes the Mount Everests of nisyonos that we face, when we think it reached the point where the mountain just grew too big, or reached the point of literally Everest, and we can't push it, we can't get it to budge at all, and we think that it's perhaps too wondrous for Hashem to accomplish, for Hashem to be Palel Yeshuos, to do Nisei Nisim. That's the reason why we need to read the back end, read the backdrop of the Yeshua, of the birth of Yitzchak, to be reminded that we too, we all can be Zeiche to Yeshuos, to Nechames, but in the struggle, in the darkness, in the tunnel, when we don't see that, and we think, Hayipolim imcha davar, we think it's a fact, we think it's solidified, we think it's too big, it's too wondrous, Hashem can't push Everest. Hashem tells us, Hayipolim imcha davar, you say it as a statement, you say it as you've embraced the fact, but I tell it to you as a question, because nothing for me is too great, is too strong, is too powerful, because I created everything, and I created all the problems, but I have all the answers, I have all the solution, and I have all the strength to bring salvations, happiness, success, grant all that we need, bestow us with all the blessing, and ultimately the redemption that we're all awaiting. May we taka be zeicha, may Hashem answer our pleas, hear our plight as a nation, with all that's going on in our soul, with all that's going on in our own lives, with the nisyonos, with the tests, with the Everests that we face. And when we think and when we question that perhaps Hayipolim imcha davar, it's too wondrous for you to accomplish, if it's in our subconscious, if it's in the back of our minds, if it's somewhere, but we always have to remember that Hashem said back to Sarah, Hayipolim imcha davar. Is it too wondrous? because I can do anything. I am Hashem your God. Hashem hu Elokim ein oid mavadoi. May we be zeiche to salvations, Yeshuas, Nechamas, and ultimately the Geula that we so badly and deeply await and yearn for. I thank each and every one of you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you a wonderful Shabbos. I thank each and every one of you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you a wonderful Shabbos.